Welcome back to Sun Crypto. In today's video, I just want to talk about very quick about XRP breaking out, and then we're also going to talk about Litecoin cooling off. So first of all, we're going to start with LTC, right? So let's take a look at LTC USDT on Binance. As I mentioned previously, when Litecoin break out like to $46, $47, I'm just going to make a quick recap of what we talked about, right? So we got a ABC correction and a followed by another one-to-one extension from this area, right? So you got your extension tool, right? So we got a one-to-one extension as we kind of anticipated, right? Price surged all the way up to $47, right? So what we anticipating now is that Litecoin to pull back to 0.618 to 50%, right, in this range. So that's roughly 36 to 38, right? So give or take, right? So this area of accumulation. So 36 to 38 could be the new level of 30 to 34. As you can see, we've been accumulating for like 2 to 4 weeks, right, in this range of say 29 to 34, right? So it's going to be this. I'm anticipating like a same type of a reaction from Litecoin. It's going to be a sideways movement like for like a 2 to 3 weeks, right? Just to be conservative, but depend on the volatility. It might take like a shorter time frame to complete this sideways movement, right? So that's what I'm expecting from Litecoin, at least for the short term. Nothing changed. You can take a look at the RSI, still like this is a daily time frame, right? And then the current price of Litecoin is roughly 41.50. So we take a look at the RSI. We still like this is like very aggressive downtrend, right? We could see also some support right around this area. RSI could come down to this area. It's very possible, get retested, come back and make this type of move. We might never get oversold until we complete the whole process, but just watch out for this area of 50, let's say 59 to 54, right? This area of RSI, it could break it and come back like that, just fake out, right? So that's what I'm expecting from Litecoin. At the same time, I wanted to take a look at the Litecoin and BTC. If you take a look at Litecoin BTC, is very interesting. As you can see, like on the Litecoin USDT, right? We made like some inverted head and shoulder, right, on the on the daily time frame, right? But it broke out and then fake out, right? So I'm not expecting this inverted head and shoulder to break out and fake out. We already got a clean breakout. I'm not expecting price to drop like 10 to 15% below this inverted head and shoulder. Because if you go back to the USDT Binance, this inverted head and shoulder we got from this area, most people were talking about it, right? So, and then let me make it clear. Right, so we got this inverted head and shoulder, broke out and then come back, 10% dip into this region, right? So I talked about like almost like 20-30%, right? That's really big, right? So almost 30% dip into the region of this right shoulder, right? So I mentioned it on my previous videos, when Litecoin was breaking out, starting like right around 28, we most likely gonna come back, retest this roughly 10% within this inverted head and shoulder, right, to the right shoulder. So but when you take a look at the Litecoin BTC, we got a clear breakout, right? Most people don't pay attention to this Litecoin BTC pairing. So most people focus on the dollar, the dollar pairing, right? So you got this inverted head and shoulder. Let me clear breakout. And then we got a clear one-to-one extension, right? So this area right here, so you would be targeting that area, right? So that's exactly what we got. So This is why you need to study TA and then understand what's going on, and then you know, be ready for this type of moves, right? You gotta we got a area of resistance right here. You can see this correction right here. Now it's going to be a resistance, and then we come back to this area of resistance. Price got rejected. So it's multiple way of looking at the price action of Litecoin. Litecoin is very bullish at the time. I mean, at this time, right? And then even like back in December, still was, you know, kind of like bullish, starting right around this area, right? So what I'm expecting now from Litecoin and BTC is the same thing. We're gonna come back, retest this area of 0.01 Litecoin, 0.01 BTC, right? So roughly depending like the price of BTC, maybe like 35, 3300. Litecoin gonna worth like $33 to $34, right? It all depends how BTC gonna retrace, right? But I'm expecting Litecoin to come back, retest this area, and then make like a, you know, the fifth wave right around here, right? So it's very possible you would be looking at like Litecoin maybe, you know, another 50% gain right after it retraces to down, after it retraces, you know, down to this area, right? So that's just like for the short term. I'm looking at like, you know, 4 to 6, 7 weeks, right, before Litecoin hit like break out this area of resistance, right? So let's take a look at XRP. Today we're both gonna look at XRP USDT and then XRP BTC pairing also, because it's very interesting when you you know, take a look at both side of the pairing, right? So what I'm expecting from XRP is to get, you know, to this area, come back, retest this. So this process can take, you know, another 2 to 3 weeks. So it all depends how volume going to be coming in. We could also like come back, retest this area, and then, you know, with a strong volume, and then, you know, go back to all-time high, right? Not all-time high, but, you know, all-time high versus BTC, I meant. But this is just like the short-term view from Litecoin. We're definitely going to break out this triangle, so watch out. Volatility going to be like big during this month of February, right? Especially like the last 2 weeks. So just watch out, right? So let's take a look at the shorter time frame, right? Shorter time frame. Let's go to 4 hour. The 4 hour chart. Litecoin is, XRP is moving kind of slow. When you take a look at it, like, you know, kind of retrace dip like 0.618. You know, Litecoin retraced back to, kind of retraced dip to like 80% almost. Litecoin retraced back to 0.618, but XRP came down to this area of 80% retracement, right? So it's pretty deep. This area is very strong. Like, it's a good area of accumulation. So if you see like a sudden drop to this area, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just like 4 to 5% drop, right? So it's not even big. So I wouldn't be surprised like to see a big wick like this come back to this area, just like that. We could see some similar to this, right? A big candle, like it can be either red or it could be either green or bearish, so it all depends, right? So see, candle, right? So it can be either green or it can be either bearish or bullish, right? It all depends, right, on the daily volatility. So that's what I'm expecting from Litecoin, at least for the short term, right? But just might be mindful, like, you know, the long-term view, the medium-term view, you know, from Litecoin is to make a, you know, one-to-one extension from this area. So you would be looking at Litecoin, let's see, one-to-one extension. You would be looking at Litecoin 35 to 36. So it's not even much. It's just about like 20% from this area, right? So we'll be looking at, yeah, just about 12%, right? And then it's 20% from this area. So roughly, right? So let's take a look at Litecoin and BTC. Litecoin BTC from Binance. Let's take a look at it. I think Bitfinex has better chart. Let's see. Bitstamp. Let's go to. When you take a look at the Litecoin and a BTC pairing on a Poloniex, you can see a clear like head and inverted head and shoulder, right? It's very important. As you can see right here, let me just draw it, not to be lazy, right? Came back to this area, right, and get rejected, right? So most likely, you know, we gonna retest this area just like Litecoin did versus USDT, right? Litecoin came back to this area, right? Came back to this area, right? Even broke it. Let's see. All right, let's take a look at it. Litecoin came back to this area, broke it by like 10%, and then dropped back like 27%. So basically, that's the same thing XRP did, right? So we came back to this area, broke it. Now we below like almost, let's see, you know, 30% below, right? So I'm expecting XRP to clearly break out this area of a resistance, roughly, let's see, it's roughly, you know, 46%, right? So versus BTC. So I'm expecting XRP at least to break around this area, you know, make a one-to-one extension from the head to the neckline. So just like that, and then retest this top, right? So we could see XRP like a, you know 130% gain versus BTC, right? So it's almost like going back to all-time high. So that's the reason I'm expecting like XRP to go back to all-time high, because you got to remember, like once we break this area, the neckline gonna be, you know, the right shoulder gonna be to the neckline, right around this area. So you would be looking at like a, almost 150% gain, right? So let's say we got a big rejection to the all-time high, right? So that's almost like a 170% gain versus BTC. You're talking about XRP, dollar value going back like to $1.50, depending on how BTC going to be trading, right? So it's very important to take a look at XRP this way, but at the same time, I want to take a look at XRPBTC on Binance. XRP and BTC on Binance is making like a very similar pattern since like we started the bear market early like 2018, right? So this move is basically similar to that move, and then I'm expecting after we complete this move, right now we right around this area, right? So let me just remove this so you can see it. So XRP is completing this move from let's say from June to like a July, right? This 1 month move. XRP is completing this move right from basically December to almost February, right? So if that's a bearish scenario, so if XRP is like to complete the same exact move, we're most likely going to drop to this trend line before we take off, right? So it's very possible. Also, you just have to keep it in mind. Even though I'm bullish about XRP, I'm still like find a way to prove myself wrong in order to be like more profitable, right? So just watch out if XRP break below this trend line versus BTC right here, right? We're most likely gonna retest, like drop like almost 40%, right? Let's see, it's about 20%, right? 25%. So we could be dropping like 25% versus BTC before we take off. So I'm very confident this area of support gonna be very aggressive once XRP get to that area, right? So just be mindful. So I'm expecting the same exact move, if XRP turn out to be bearish and then we break out this area of let's say 8150, right? So versus BTC, right? So that's about it for today. So if you like the content, let me know what you think down below. If you think like XRP gonna break out soon, or we just gonna be trending below, and then before we take off. Thank you for watching.